Hello, teachers. Welcome to CLIU's Make May Memorable series that our professional learning team has been launching throughout the month of May. My name is Kelly Tremba, and I am here with my colleague, Kristen Adams. We are very excited to be back to share yet another short learning session with you all. Today, we will be sharing many resources for teachers of all content areas surrounding the concept moving learning outside the classroom. Before we get started, we would like to share a shortened link to the slide deck with you in case you'd like to interact with our resources while we are sharing. This slide deck is also available to you on our YouTube page. So all of the examples and resources that we share with you are available for you to use as you wish in your own classroom. Before we start showcasing the countless resources that we are sharing today, let's explore the benefits of moving learning outside the classroom. This video that I'm about to share reflects the importance of kinesthetic learning and relevance to adolescents, which of course includes teens and tweens alike. But certainly we can attribute these benefits to any school-age child.
They have the freedom to use the environment to enhance their experience instead of using textbooks and worksheets and pencils.
Yeah, it's about hiking and fishing and seining and just really getting their hands dirty and all the outdoor spaces that we're so privileged to have in this area. I think we all can agree that a real-world context for the material that students are learning makes it matter. Because, these students aren't asking, why are we learning this? Because they're seeing it, they're touching it, they're smelling it, they're experiencing it. So it's in their hands, they're able to understand it and apply it, and it just brings all their learning to life.
At this age, kids actually they need this moment in their time between 13 and 15 or 12, 13, 14, 15 to reconnect or get a connection with the bigger environment. And to me, it's a great space to be able to do that.
Well, we get to go outside, and most public schools at this time of year, or in my grade, don't even do recess, which is agonizingly horrible because to keep all that energy bundled up inside a 13-year-old kid is it's just not rational.
The rhythms of nature and experiencing it and being out there for 9 hours a week is therapeutic for kids this age. They're in middle school, they're changing. There's a lot of turmoil in their, bodies and minds, and the support and the consistency of nature is, I think, really valuable for them.
There's just so many changes going on that a regular classroom setting is just mind-scrambling, I feel like, for that age. And so there's a lot of not productive time because they can't sit in a chair, even if they want to, and even if they're studious and all of that. So to be out here and to have all of the senses kind of working through as you work through projects or ideas, it just helps them to kind of build their awareness and understanding of selves.
Going to the outdoors is important for any learner. In particular, these learners, because they are generally more kinesthetic. They are generally coming to this age where they're trying to discover themselves and discover their place in the world. And so providing them with opportunities to step out of the traditional classroom and to go into the woods, pick their sit spot, because it's important to them, and to watch that sit spot change over a school year, to find specimens and tromp in the stream and climb a tree or identify a tree, to see the deer and fox and all of the wildlife, is to see themselves in a bigger world and to discover things about themselves.
So we acknowledge that not all teachers will have the location, space, or resources to take students outside hiking or fishing, but certainly we can all bring learning to life and connect our students with their environment by simply planning authentic activities outside. There are so many benefits to moving learning outside. I have a list, of course, on the screen. Moving learning outside is more engaging. It's relevant for students. It nurtures creativity and imagination. It offers students the opportunity to play and experiment. If students are engaged and learning is engaging, it may improve their attendance and their desire to be at school. It reduces behavior problems, as well as helping students to develop an interest in their environment and their surroundings. It also exposes children to new opportunities that they may not have in their own home. Of course, it also helps keep students healthy. And the most important thing is you have almost limitless resources. So that's what we're gonna look today. We're gonna just share some ideas with you that are right outside the doors of your very own school. Certainly, we also acknowledge that whenever we take students outside and there are less restrictions and less structure, we worry about behavior challenges. However, when students are doing something that is thoroughly engaging, they are certainly less likely to be off task. When students are learning through doing, they are engaged. And just wanted to remind everybody of the learning pyramid here. If we look at the bottom, the bottom third of this, when students are participating in discussions, giving talks, doing a dramatic presentation, simulating the real thing and doing the real thing, they are actively participating and they are retaining 70% and up of what they are actually learning. So again, learning through doing is engaging. And when we take students outside, they are actively learning. So just one more short clip about curiosity, because of course, when we engage students outside, we're hoping to start with a stance of inquiry where they are curious about something and they're really investigating that curiosity on their own.
Curiosity sort of wakes up the brain and gets the neurons firing. In the classroom, it's limited by the four walls and the desks and the way in which we do learning in school. Outside of school, you have much more hands-on experience in different settings, out of doors, with different kinds of materials and different kinds of people. So that opens up the curiosity, the motivation, and the opportunity for experiential learning to occur.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen, who is going to start with our first content area. These are the content areas and the supports that we will be exploring in this session.
So as we have seen already in this clip, the first-hand experiences of learning outside the classroom can help make subjects more vivid and interesting for our students and enhance their understanding. So if we get started with math and moving math outside the classroom, let's take a look at some ideas. So when we're trying to help our students, we're helping them build skills and application. Going outside with your classroom, especially our elementary students, is a great way to keep them engaged. As you can see on the left-hand side, you can practice activities with number recognition by having stones for students to put and use for counting. You can help them explore patterns by having them collect objects that they find outside, such as pine cones, and put them in different patterns. For multiplication and those arrays, you can use different leaves and have them look at the leaf patterns and see repeated addition and multiplication. Students can graph all kinds of things that you see outside around the playground and in the area around your school. And as you can see with there, they used chalk and then they collected different leaves and then made a graph out of that. You could also take your student to the parking lot, have them look at the cars. They could see how many cars are blue, how many are red, and create a graph using the information that they have on your schoolyard. When we go to our secondary students, we want to allow them to apply real life scenarios. So this website right here, which is linked in the slide deck, is a great way for you to take your content area. So no matter what grade level that you're using, so for example, if you're teaching Algebra 1, you can take your students outside, bring their materials, and help them start to solve real life problems. For example, this one is how fast was the fastest motorcycle speeding ticket ever? So you can have students start to calculate that in their new surrounding and new environment. It helps students just be more engaged and be in a different environment. And the same thing is true with the second one that I linked here for you. This is designing a study and analyzing the results. So you can have your students create their own problem that they want to solve. They can use that data and or collect the data in the community around your school. They could ask each other a question and then try to solve it. So linked in the slide deck is also the activities to allow for these real life scenarios.
Okay, so I'm just going to share a few ideas surrounding ELA and how we can take students outside and engage them in meaningful and authentic activities. As Kristen just mentioned, all of the resources and ideas that we are sharing today are linked within the slide deck. So we're just going to showcase one in each area. So as you can see on the screen, if we want to pursue some skill building and application of skills outdoors, there are some ideas on here, of course, book circles, using onomatopoeia to drive poetry. That's a great idea. Having students go outside, walk through the area and write poetry about the sounds that they're hearing. Of course, you see the little boy sitting in the spot in the grass on the right-hand side in the bottom right-hand. So just using the outdoors to inspire the writing, as was mentioned in one of the videos, having students select and continue to visit the same sit spot so they can observe what's going on around them and write about it. There's also story stones where students, teachers can create stones that represent pictures, or students can create stones that represent pictures to tell a story. Of course, many different ways to practice handwriting outside. And one that I'm going to showcase quickly is just a story walk. This is a really cool idea where you can get students out walking around your schoolyard, around your school campus, around the area in which surrounds your school. And as you can see on the picture that is being showcased right now, there might be a page on each of these poles. So you're taking your students for a walk and you're stopping at each of the poles. They could be hanging on a tree or hanging from a tree. And you're going to engage in a story or a book throughout your walk with them. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Also, again, to support this at the secondary level, secondary students are often engaged in reading novels. So, just regular old book club discussions outside will, hopefully inspire students to be more engaged. Also, the idea of transcendentalism is often a time period that is taught at the high school level. Of course, transcendentalism reflects nature. So becoming one with nature and doing any kind of lessons in nature and that reflect nature. You can study Emerson and Thoreau throughout this. There is a link on this slide as well for some ideas. But I do want to share this group poem video idea I thought was pretty cool. Now this one is going to reflect teachers. I'm sorry, just let me scroll down here and find this one. So this is a poem that reflects teachers, as I said, and it's called Where I'm From. And of course, students aren't going to write about the same topic that these teachers are writing about. However, I just want to showcase what this looks like a little bit so that you can see how students can collaborate together to create a video very similar to something like this, of course, with a different subject. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to press play here.
Where I'm from, it smells like fresh Sharpies and Axe body spray. It smells like Mr. Sketch grape markers and lost old gym shoes. I am from the jingling of lanyard keys, from the land of lost Chromebook chargers and left behind lunchboxes. Where I'm from, we chase the green light. We demand justice with poetry, and we call each other family.
I am from the land of crazy teacher mom life. I'm from messy desks and colorful beaded lanyards to Post-its and flare pens and ink joys too. I am from the land of no-name papers and cold coffee to Jeans Day Fridays to yoga pants Saturday.
Where I'm from, it's not uncommon to be called mom or even dad on accident. I'm from finding tiny pencils to finding the perfect font. From TikTok dancers to inspirational quotes, I am from that traveling bag of ungraded papers.
So obviously that, as I said before, the subject of that and the theme of that group poem reflected teachers. However, wouldn't that be a great assignment to give to students, and they just all give a little video of themselves where they are from, and encourage them to go outside in their home so they can all not only discuss where they're from, but show the background as well.
Probably the best subject when it comes to emerging students into experiential learning is science. So we're going to play a short clip for you today that's just going to show some students in action.
On the classrooms, we had like information, but now we're actually seeing it.
These are some of the species of plants and animals that live in this salt marsh ecosystem. We're gonna take turns drawing lines. If you think that a card that's in front of you interacts with a different card.
I think that would eat the shrimp. This periwinkle with this.
It did remind me of something that we did in science class with all of the systems.
It was like the animal food chain kind of in the salt marsh.
Or what if all of a sudden the amount of herring goes quadrupled?
When we think about experiential learning, I'm not just giving you information and content. I'm not just showing you. I'm actually letting you experience that content.
Never see you again, but goodbye.
And even though you might not have that in our backyard, we can still use the opportunity to explore nature and get outside with our students. So here are a few things. If you have a young student or any student, sticks are a big thing. They love playing with sticks, designing with sticks. So one way you can spend the afternoon or the morning is through exploring construction, engineering, and balance through using sticks, allowing students to problem solve and to try creating different things. allowing them to identify. So on the right-hand side, you could see this is a student who did leaf identification. For our older students, you can even download the app, and the app that I'm going to talk about a little bit about is the Leaf Snap, which is a way for students to take a picture of the leaf, and it starts to give you some characteristics. They can then challenge each other through a game of leaf identification and start to see which ones they can identify even without the app, or maybe before they snap that picture, they could make a prediction or a guess of what they think that leaf would be before they get to that part. So there are so many ways that we can allow students to get outside. So think about the location of your school and things that might be close in proximity, and take your students outside to explore them.
Okay, and an additional content area that we're going to share some ideas in is social studies. Social studies offers a great opportunity for simulations. Students can pretend that they are in a war. For example, World War II simulation, there's a great lesson plan and some lesson resources that I have shared here on the right-hand side with the World War II simulation. If we look at this Civil War simulation, we can see here that we have a gentleman who is dressed up. Students are getting information about this particular task, but this is a class that is based on projects. I'm just going to share this little blurb here about it because I thought it was really intriguing. Students are reenacting, they're solving messages sent that are sent through long distance signal flags, they're cooking lunch with rations that a soldier would have had during wartime. And then, of course, they're setting themselves up and simulating what actual battles would look like, and the strategy that the armies of battles would use. This, of course, is a lot more fun than sitting in a classroom and listening to a lecture about a particular war. Students are, will admit that it helps them understand it a little bit better when they are experiencing what a war battle was like, than simply just hearing about it. And then, of course, I loved this picture here. There's no link that goes along with it, but I know a common theme in social studies in the elementary grades is the community and what makes a community. So having students create their own community using sidewalk chalk. Of course, I know another common area that students have to engage in is learning the states, the United States. So even just, map coloring, map coding, color coding, all of these ideas are great ideas for social studies. And remember, when we get our students doing and applying, they are absolutely doing more critical thinking and therefore retaining more of what they are learning.
We're going to continue through the different content areas, taking a specific look at music and art. So as you can see, the teacher, and I'm just going to show you this little clip of her, she took her students outside using those Home Depot buckets and created some music with her students outdoors. How exciting it must be for those students to go outside the classroom and participate in a rhythm activity such as that. And think about our upper level students as well, taking them outside to practice their instrument or to practice some of the music theory that you're teaching them. It's different outside. The sound is different. They might be able to hear something more clearly or less clearly because of the large space that they're in. On the right-hand side is a musical hopscotch when you're looking at solfege. So you could have your students go through and put their do, re, mi, and put that on a hopscotch, have them practice going through that together and the sounds. This is all a great way to practice musical theory in action and through application. The same thing is true with when you're using chalk to write symbols, to create their own music. On the bottom right-hand is a picture of a sound wall music station. You could create this out of recycled material. You could hang it along your fence of your playground, different pots and pans, and start to experiment with the pitch and the different sounds that instruments or household items can make. So they'll sound differently if they are higher on the fence or at a different part of the fence. So all of that can be achieved through exploration, and that can happen outside. So we really encourage you to take your students outside and try some of these theories in music. I know you have a whole host of them, and there's many different ways that you can explore that.
I love that idea about the having this sound wall music station, particularly if it is outside on a recess playground or just, outside the school building. Other ways to make the outdoors of a school building engaging are by, things like painting a mural outside. You can see on this in the area of art. This is an opportunity for students to apply their creativity on a mural, such as the one shown here. Also, some ideas in creating 3D images through shading. So again, resources are linked on this page, flowers and leaf rubbings. And I have a great resource here called Nature Art, it's surrounding the concept of nature art. This is a particular Pinterest collection. So you can see here, nature color wheel, just look at this face here, ways to create with nature, doing a color hunt. I love this one too, like coloring bricks, and then students have to go and find things that are that color. They can then, of course, you can do photography with them or still life drawings with them. So lots of ideas on here. Again, a great way to take learning outdoors and engage students in their surroundings.
When it comes to our English language learners, there are two things that we're trying to accomplish. Not only are we trying to give them experience with language, but content. So that is a heavy lift when it comes to our English language learners. So taking them outside allows for them to have those experiences. So if you're teaching vocabulary, you can have them participate in a scavenger hunt and find those specific vocabulary words throughout your school, throughout the community, if you're located in more of a city area. This allows them to have that experience with real life, to get outside, to explore something new. And they're not only learning the content, but they're practicing using the language. And on the right-hand side is just a fun activity that you can try with your students called Stand Up If You Ever. And this is helping our students with their listening and speaking skills, allowing them to feel more comfortable, giving them different questions to participate together. On the bottom left is an example, just a picture, but I wanted to highlight something that you can do to help your students practice grammar or any other skill. You could have them participate in a kickball or a baseball game. So when you're outside, you can brainstorm a list of different questions that you want your students to answer. And the student that pitches the ball asks the question, and then the batter or the kicker would respond with the answer. That allows for not only that listening and speaking, but that experiencing the language and working together as a team. Which leads us right into team building. And team building is a critical part to not only allowing for fun experiences for our students, but creating camaraderie. So here are a few ideas to get you started. The exploration bag, as you can see those three cute little boys there, there's a couple different ways you could use this. You could have students of any age create a bag that they use when they go outside. So this exploration bag would have books, it could have a game they want to teach a friend, it would have crayons, maybe a notebook, whatever really interests the students. So you could use it as just a brain break, get them outside, or you could create it more specific. So maybe you want them to actually explore and you want to have a magnifying glass or you want to have a ruler. So there's different ways that you can use these type of bags, but this is a great way for students to not only have fun, take a break, but to build that camaraderie with each other. Underneath is the birthday lineup, and you can use this with younger kids by having them use their birth date to get in order. So if you want your students, let's say our youngest students, maybe they just want to use the number of their birthday. So if they were born on the 23rd and try to get in order from 1 to 31, So you could do that with your students. For our older students, you could have them participate without any words. I want you to get an order of your birthday from January to December, and you're not allowed to use any words to get an order. We're linking for you a website as well that will show you a couple other activities from the We Are Teachers. And on this website, you'll be able to see a couple activities. The one is the pretzel and unpretzel, and that is when you're dividing your students into different groups. The one group you're trying to unpretzel by using the other students to help guide them through this process. So this is allowing students the opportunity to build relationships with each other, listen, use those speaking skills, which benefit all of our students. The other activities in here, and there's so many that you can take a look at, there's one with hula hoops. And when we think about hula hoops, it's not just for kids. The older students could use an activity with hula hoops as well. And one of the activities you'll find on that website is having students work together as a team using their index fingers only to lift the hula hoop off the ground as a team. It is quite a challenge. So all of the activities are in that website for you to take a look at. And we highly recommend that you try one of these with your class, especially now that we're heading into the end of the year. This is the time where we really want to build those memories with our students and bring some positive, energetic activities into your classroom.
We hope you have discovered a lot of ideas to make May memorable in your classroom by taking them outside. Some teachers have engaged in an activity where they actually set up an outside classroom. So this slide is dedicated to, if that is a dream of yours, to actually create an outside classroom that you can be outside in during the warm months of May, June, and September. Here are some great tips for you. Feel free to visit this slide deck and this particular slide in order to pursue that dream a little more. Just before we close today, we want to make sure that you're aware of all of the free PD sessions that we're offering here at the IU. You can see on this slide in front of you, we have January, February, March, April. While the months have passed, the sessions are still available to you on our CLIU Ready PD page. You can see May is showcased first. April is below, and then so on and so forth, March, etc. At this time, you can still attain Act 48 credit by completing this exit ticket for the scaffolding month of April themed sessions. They are available until May 31st. And as you are engaging in the May sessions, that exit ticket will be available through June 30th. These sessions, however, will remain on our site for quite some time. As I just shared with you, Make May Memorable is the month of May. You just listened to our session and hopefully enjoyed it and found lots of exciting ideas for moving learning outside the classroom. We have coming up on May 11th and 18th, games for learning, also problem-based learning on the 13th, and on the 20th, our final session for May in grade-based learning. The exit ticket is also for this particular session is linked on this slide deck as well when you navigate to it. Kristen was so nice to gather and organize all of the resources for you that we shared today. So if you don't want to go back into the slide deck, you can simply visit this page and find every resource that we found for you, nicely organized and categorized by content area, and it's all in one place. So we'd like to just say thank you for engaging in our session today. We hope you learned lots of great ideas to make May memorable.
Thank you so much for joining us. As I think back to my elementary experiences and my experiences throughout school, all the time that I went outside and explored and did different projects are those experiences that I remember the most. So I just encourage you. You've done so many great things this year, and it's been quite a challenging year, but let's end strong and make sure that May is memorable. Thanks for all you do. And if there's anything that we can do to support you or your district, feel free to reach out to Kelly or myself. We are here at the IU to support you on your educational journey.